Hi guys, Samantha here and welcome to my channel and my first installment of my series called Lights, Camera, Action, Basics of Machinima Making in The Sims 4. So if you guys don't know what a machinima is, which probably most of you do, it's basically like manipulating your game footage to make like little movies, clips, videos, like music videos, just whatever. And they call it machinimas. And honestly, it's not something that's just practiced in Sims 4. I've seen it across other game platforms. But particularly we'll be talking about Sims 4 today because this has been a very highly requested thing on my channel. A lot of you guys have been like, how do you make this? How do you do this? How do you do that? What have you? And I've been wanting to work on this for a long time. And honestly, I never had the time. So now I am making time. So it's going to be a couple parts. And actually I'm going to play it by ear because even though I've planned this out, you never know once we get involved and people start asking questions, I might have to go back in and tweak some things. So today, this particular part, which will be part 1, will be focused on camera control. So everything that I'm doing, I'm going to show you guys how I do it. Of course, it's going to be a matter of your personal preference once you get into the game and you start playing around with things, how you may want to do it. So just something to keep in mind. And also, you're probably going to want to have like a really good mouse. And when I mean like a really good mouse, I'll show some pictures on the screen of what I mean, but you're going to want something that definitely has like a right and a left clicker and then a scroll wheel in the middle. My Mac mouse does not have that. It just has like a left and right. So I had to purchase a mouse just for my MacBook when I was working on like my Harley Quinn and some of my music. Almost every machinima I've done has been done on my MacBook Pro. So I had to purchase a special mouse for that. So you will need a mouse with a scrolly wheel in the middle. And also you will need to be able to access your game files, which I will show you guys all that stuff too. So you kind of like tweak some of your game file settings. But if we tweak anything, just make sure you save the original settings just in case you decide you want to go back to what you had. So anyway, I just got like a random sim and he's going to be working on some stuff today and I could kind of show you guys like how these camera controls could go. So before we even get started really good, I'm just going to give you guys like an overall basic of how to deal with the camera in Sims 4. So I'm sure all of this will be repetitive, but just in case, we're going to go through it anyway. So if you go up here and click this little camera button, you could kind of see that you have an option to do a Sims 4 camera, which, you know, just kind of is like very simple, just up and down. You could rotate like this. You could grab the screen and do like this. But for the most part, it is not as easy to control or not as giving. Oh gosh, as I'm messing up right now, it's not as giving to control as the Sims 3 camera. So when I'm dealing with machinimas, I prefer to use a Sims 3 camera. As you can see, you could kind of like do this. You could hold down your scroll wheel, as a matter of fact, which is the reason why I said you need a specific type mouse. And just by holding down your scroll wheel, you're able to kind of like manipulate your angles. You can hold your right click button and go side to side. You can hold your well, I guess this one does nothing. That just makes you select things. Your left click button, your left mouse button will help you select things. But anyway, so that's just like one thing. You could also hold down your right and kind of like roll your mouse around on your mouse pad. You could get that kind of like this little notion, but it comes really in handy because you might want to start off with an angle, you know, like this. Unfortunately, with the Sims 4 camera, you can't get an angle like that. So even if you try your hardest, I mean, you can't get an angle like that. So learn your Sims 3 camera if you're going to be machinima making. It is the absolute best way to do your angles. And when you're machinima making, y'all, even if you don't have the scene set up exactly how you want to have it, or even have like things in place or whatever, it's all about angles. It's all about working your angles. You might want to do the exact same footage over and over again, but if you do it from the top like this, and then do it again from the side like this, do it from the bottom like where his feet are tapping, and then you can have like one scene have multiple different angles, and it'll just give like a good vibe, a good feeling, especially if you're dealing with music videos. So normally when I deal with music videos, I'll repeat the same scene over and over again, and I'll just do it from different angles. You might want to do like a top angle. You want to do like a side angle like this. You might want to get in close and get this keyboard and do that angle like that. And unfortunately, you just can't do it with the Sims 4 camera. So Sims 3 all the way. So that is one thing you will need to kind of play around with. Another thing you need to learn how to do is your tab mode. So I'm going to go on and let him get started, and we're going to go on and play. But if you look at your keyboard, you actually have a button that says tab. So when you press that tab button, it eliminates all of your interfaces and things like that. With this, you could kind of use your mouse to kind of roll around like this. Now, I will warn you, you have to have like a really steady hand to keep it like super smooth. If you jack it like this, it's like super sensitive. I wish there was a way you could kind of control how sensitive it is, but you can't really. So you could also use your middle scroll wheel to kind of zoom in like this and also zoom out like this. Another thing you could do besides just all of that is you could kind of use your arrow button on your keyboard to get in close to your subject at hand, right? You could kind of zoom in just like this and see his face if you have your scroll. So you kind of got to play around with the keyboard and your mouse at the same time. So you could go back like this and press the arrow key. You could go left, you could go right. And this is good when you want to do like a panning shot. Honestly, I would take my hand off the mouse and just press the arrow key over in tab mode, and then I can pan to where he's at. And then you can film that if you wanted to do like something kind of cinematic where you're coming into the shot. So something to think about. So you can use your arrow keys, but if you don't have arrow keys on your keyboard, you could also press the W to go up, the S to go back, the A to go left, I'm sorry, and the D to go right. So it's the same thing over and over. Now, as far as going up, you can press E on your keyboard to go up, and it goes pretty much as high as you would like it to, which is another function. You can probably like take a view of the scene of the city and then kind of like pan down into the gentleman's apartment. You could do something like that, and you have that going on. So E to go up on the keyboard and Q to go down on the keyboard. You got to play around with these things, y'all. So work them fingers on your keyboard, get everything popping. Another thing you could do on your keyboard is actually zoom in. So you can hit Z to zoom in, or you can hit X to zoom out. As long as you hit the Z, it'll zoom into where he's at. You can hit X and it'll zoom out as far as you want it. Keep in mind though, when you zoom out, it does kind of do this fisheye skew type thing for the screen. So you might want to be careful with how you're zooming out. So I pretty much don't play around with that. I rather do the scroll wheel, and when it gets to like it's kind of distorted, like right here, I just won't go out that far. You kind of got to play around with it, like I said. Now, if you go back and then scroll out, it kind of keeps the ratio. If you guys can see, you could kind of scroll, you could go back and then kind of come in and then scroll in and then go in and scroll in. And then it doesn't mess with the distortion. So another thing we should learn, did you see that? I paused it and I'm in tab mode. Yes, use your number keys. So the only downside of being in tab mode is that you're not able to access your normal, I guess, interface that you would probably do if you want to stay in tab mode and get your shot, but you kind of want to play around with, pausing or whatever, or what have you. You can press 0 on your upper keyboard. You can't do the number pad. I've tried that. It doesn't work for me, at least it doesn't. But you could press 0 on it, or you could press 1 to start playing. You could press 2 to make it go the medium speed, and 3 to go to super fast speed. But if you're making machinimas, you're not going to do 2 or 3. You're going to do 0 and you're going to do 1. So what I like to do, especially when I'm setting up like scenes and everything, and like I told you guys with the angles, is I like to get like a little bit from over here, press play, and then let him do his thing. And then I could pause and set up another shot where we're like right here, press play again, get that piece, and then pause again, and then scroll from over here and then get this piece, and then do that. And basically when you get into your photo editing, the parts where you paused it, you would chop those up. Just put the ones from the right, the center, and the left, smush them together, and then you'll have like a panning shot and everything will be seamless. It won't look like it got broke up, like his headphones were next to his ear and then all of a sudden they weren't. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll just be like kind of seamless. And I'll show you guys what I mean right here. Yes, I know my guy sucks, but I'm doing all of this just so you guys can see what I mean. But basically, I played around with the angles. I paused it. I zoomed in on another angle of him messing with the equipment. And then I paused it, got another angle of him doing something, and I paused it. And you guys can kind of see, like, once you go to edit it, it actually looks like it's one full shot. So I like to play around with it like that. I do that a lot, especially like if my Sims are having conversations with other Sims. I'll pause in the middle, kind of flip it over to the other person's perspective, or flip it from a top or a side or whatever, and then press play again. And that way, once you go to edit it, it's really, once you get in editing mode, which I will show you guys how I do all of my editing, you could just kind of like edit it from that point, and it actually looks like it was one fell swoop, as opposed to you going around like this and trying to go, oh, let me go here, let me go here, let me go here, let me get here real quick, let me get here real quick, and then it's done. So anyway, I like to do that. That's something that you guys can kind of practice doing. So let's go over the hotkeys one more time. You need tab, right? You need Q to go down, W to go in, E to go up, A to go left, S to go back, and D to go right, and Z to zoom in, and X to zoom out. And as long as you hold Z, you zoom in until you get to the person. Like if it was on his face, I can come out like here, zoom in like that. Now, what's really cool about doing it this way is it's more smooth, in my opinion. Like the scroll can be like a little bit like chicky. But if you do it with the keyboard, it's way more smoother. So I prefer, if you're going to do like zoom in shots, like if I'm back here and I want, like, he's playing and everything, and I want to zoom. Well, first I need to center onto his face. Okay, let me get close to him, and we're going to try to get as close as we can. We're going to have him center. I'm going to go X out, and then if you start from right here, then when you go into Z, you'll be right there. And you kind of see it's a little bit smoother. Again, don't zoom too far out because it looks like this. So you want to get into a point where it looks like the angles and everything is not distorted. Everything is fine. And then you just zoom in, and wherever that last camera angle was at, you'll be right there. So really cool, right? So if you were to do this in real life, it would look like this. Another thing I want to mention about tab mode as far as your hotkeys go too is you might want to learn, like, for some reason, if you're in this method and you have the walls down, and who wants to see a machinima with the walls down? What you could also do if you have these buttons on your keyboard is actually hit like home to toggle through the different wall, I guess, features or whatever, like whether it's open, close or whatever, or you could press N to open them back up if you wanted to have that happen. It's just something to think about if you're in tab mode and you already have your position and you're ready to record, but then you realize I left the wall up. You could just press home while you're in the tab mode in order to do that. Another good feature to keep in mind about recording in tab mode, and you always record in tab mode, is, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but sometimes you might get so close to things they kind of like disappear, which I can't make it do it right now, but sometimes, like, especially when you're out in the world, I'll show you guys if I can get out to an example out in the world. But if I'm out in the world and I'm so close to like the tree that it disappears, in tab mode it appears. So you always want to record in tab mode, because if you're not in tab mode, you're missing parts of the scene. If you're in tab mode, the scene is there. And another cool thing about tab mode too is you could access parts of the world with tab mode. Like, as you guys can see, I have like edges that I can't get to, but if I have tab mode on, I can go further out, like way further out. And if I wanted to get scenes of the city, that you can't normally access when you're not in tab mode, which this one is probably not the best scene because it's like kind of, rough and jagged looking, and there's like missing tracks up there. But you guys kind of get the point. If you wanted to get parts of the world where you can't normally access otherwise, then you could do it in tab mode, and you can kind of like record from down here of cars passing by if that's something that you need for like your storyline. Very important for tab mode, y'all. Like, tab mode is everything. I mean, like, seriously. So you want to make sure whenever you're recording, you stay in tab mode. Do not record from this angle. Just don't. Okay. Stay in tab mode. You could get all sorts of different, I could even get on this interstate if I want to, on this overpass. And look, I'm on the overpass. You cannot do that if you're not in tab mode. And then I could just get down here. And I've seen machinimas where people, I can't get up good enough though, y'all. Hold on. Let me trying to get on this road just a little bit. But I've even seen machinimas where people will have it like they're traveling by car, and I could just kind of make the shot, and look, I can just press my arrow key and I can just record this, and it looks like That was way too fast, but you guys get the picture. It looks like I might be traveling by car. Which, you know, that'll be just different to have a different perspective for your machinima making. So again, I just want to make sure I stress that you guys stay in tab mode. Okay. So pretty cool, right? I think so. So some things, like I said, you kind of play around with them. Definitely play around with them. See what style fits you. I think when it comes to machinima making, y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think there's like a right or wrong way. I think it's your perspective, your style, the things that you want to focus on. I'm really like into like details. So me, this would totally be like my thing. I would get down here and get like footage of him playing around with the buttons, play around with the graphics. This to me is like, I like angles like this. So I would totally like spend time on here. And, you know, honestly, to me, that makes the machinima that much greater when you could just kind of like focus on the details. All right, guys. So now that we got kind of like the basics of how to manipulate your keyboard and your mouse, I want to go over some advanced things you can do to kind of make things a little bit more professional looking, kind of like these little panning options. So if you guys have seen machinimas, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not a fan of this method because it looks like everyone else's machinima out there, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do it anyway. And I'm not saying that to be like ugly or mean or whatever, but I'm a big angle person and I want to get like these crazy angles, and I want to get from like up here, and I want to get like down here, and I even like getting feet shots. If you guys have seen any of my little machinimas or whatever, I love getting feet shots because, oh, where'd he go? Because like, I don't know if he'll do it, but sometimes I like when I've done stuff before and the people are like playing the piano or whatever, they'll tap their feet. They'll like, you know, yeah, see how he's like moving and stuff and tapping his feet. To me, I like the angles like this. And with the cinematic like pan type thing, you really can't get angles like that. Not that I've seen. Okay. So how do you do the cinematic panning type camera? So dealing with our keyboard again, there's buttons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 that actually can be programmed for different camera states. So the way you do that basically is you want to get back into tab mode again. All right, so now that you're in tab mode, you can actually kind of go around your room and set up points that you want to be like saved as camera states. So like, let's say I wanted to focus on the outside of the door. He's in here, he's doing his little mix and bit or whatever, so he's probably making a lot of noise and the neighbors are probably going to be complaining even though I don't see anybody out here. But let's say we want to get to the front of his door and we want to have it where we're outside of his door. I'm gonna drop the camera down just a little bit so we can center it. So I'm just pressing Q to go down and I'm still in tab mode. What you can do at this point is save this camera state as a 5. So I'm gonna go Control on my keyboard and then hit 5. Then the camera state is saved for 5 here. Then I can kind of go in using my arrow keys or using my scroll wheel, just whatever is comfortable for you. And let's say I wanted to get into, I don't even know, he's like having a good time right now. Maybe I can go and shoot the, let's go up a little bit and shoot the control pad, the control panel here. And we can do that as camera state 6, I guess you can call it, or position 6. So we can do hit Control and then hit 6 on your keyboard, and then that'll save it for 6. Then if I wanted to go and zoom in to like, you know what, now I think about it, can I do his feet tapping? Let's see real quick if I can. Let's get over here and try to get down to his feet and see if it'll let me save it as a camera. As soon as I can find his feet, what in the world? Okay, so here's his body. So let's go down and hit Q, 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 Q. And if we can get like a side view of his feet, that would be a perfect. All right, so let's try to get a side view of his feet. And then we can save that as position 7. So let's go Control and then hit 7. And then we can kind of go up again and maybe get his face area and seeing him like jam into the beat and whatnot. Okay, and let's go up a little bit. Let's see here. If I can go up just a little bit to the point where, and then we can save that as Control 8. And again, you have 9 as well if you wanted to do that. So let's go out and show you guys. Now that we got all of our camera positions saved, I can show you guys what it would look like. So basically you're still in tab mode. All you gotta do now is press 5 on your keyboard. It'll go to your first save spot, and we're outside the door. Then you'd go to 6 where it'll rotate to this and it'll show that. Then we can go to 7 where it goes down to his feet and it can show that. And then we can go to 8 where it goes up to his face and he's jamming. So again, I'm gonna show you guys that with it actually on. And you guys can kind of see it makes the little cycle and it's complete. Now, if you didn't want to go 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe you want to go back down to his feet and then go back to the control pad again, and then go up to his face. Then you're at this angle, and then we could go back out to the door, and then you starting at your starting point. So just like little fun things that you can kind of do. The only reason why I don't really use this, I think I've used it like a handful of times, is because with my Sims, majority of the time when I'm making my machinimas, I'm setting them up to do situations and I'm pressing play and I'm just capturing them in those situations, you know, depending upon what the storyline is calling for. So sometimes it's not easy just to kind of like have panned areas like ready to go, because your Sims might move. They might go to the kitchen. They might, you know, they might be throwing something up with their hands and you don't have it on the right angle for that. So the only way I would ever probably use anything like that is if it was a situation where, you know, I was doing like a beginning of a machinima, like the beginning parts of it, like especially like the intro scenes or whatever. Because if I wanted to say like the name of this film was My Next Door Neighbor, and then I started off right here, and I can go in and press 0 because it's paused right now, but let's go in and press 0 so we can get it playing. And then I can say My Neighbor Next Door. Then we can kind of go in and check out all the ruckus and racket he's making. We can kind of go down to like he's a party animal. He's tapping his feet so fast and so whatever. And then we could go up to, but oh my gosh, he is like super cute. You know what I mean? So it's kind of fun. You could do that as long as you have it planned. And then you can kind of cut to your next scene after you've done your little intro or whatever, you know, just something to kind of play around with. So now that you've saved your camera states, one cool thing you could do now if you wanted to kind of play around with, because I don't know if you guys saw, it kind of had its little moments where it would do this, and then it would kind of go like straight and kind of do this little rotate, like a little half rotate. But then here it does like a complete 180 and goes to this angle of his foot. And then here we just kind of pan up and do that. So you can change the type of rolls and pans, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that right now. All right, guys. So when you go to your program files, again, I stress, either make a copy of this or kind of make note to the settings that you change, because if you change your mind and you want to go back through and put them back like how they were, you're gonna want to make sure that you have the default settings. Because honestly, I don't know how to change them back to default without physically going in and typing them in. So anyway, you're gonna go to your C folder, and again, at your own risk, okay, guys? Do not hold me responsible if something goes wrong. It shouldn't, because I've done this many times, but I'm just saying, just in case, I have to feel like I have to give that disclaimer. So you go to your wherever your program files, it can either be your program files 86 or just program files. Then you're going to want to go to your Origin Games, Sims 4, Game, Bin, and then Res. Res here is like all your little configuration settings, and we can talk about all of these at a later date. Today, we're just going to focus on video camera because that's basically what we're talking about, the camera controls. So you're going to want to click it. It's going to pull up like this little notepad type thing. I don't know what the default would be for different. I don't know. Like for me, it's notepad. So that's what pulls up. And basically, you're going to want to focus on the last little bit right here. You can do the default interpolator parameters, or you could do like camera 5, camera 6. But here it has like linear, which is the type. There's 4 different types. So here it's set at linear already, which is just basically a constant speed while it's doing its turns or twists or whatever. Then there's another option that's called easy in, which actually starts your camera off slow and then it ends it fast. So, and then there's easy out you could type in, that starts off super fast and then it kind of like slows down like you're stopping time. And then there's easy in out, which is like a combination of the easy and easy out. I think it starts slow, it speeds up, and then it ends slow. I probably have to show you guys in the game, but basically you would go in and change the settings through here. Then you can do the time. The default is 2. I had it at 4 seconds, but you can change it. I don't know how high up you could change it, but just for fun, let's just go on and change it to 8. And then I'll go on and change this one to 8. And I don't know, honestly, whenever I do it, I change both settings. I don't know if it makes a difference. Default is just basically what it's at all the time. And then if I want to go in here, I could type in let's just do easy in, out. And then I'm going to actually copy and paste it. It needs to be capitalized in the correct places, like how I've shown it on screen. And then what you want to do is you're going to want to save it. That is the only way the game will know that you have made changes. So let's get back into the game. I can show you guys. Let's go back out to camera 5, and you could already see the changes are starting to take a place. I think I put it at 5 seconds. What did we put it at again? Yeah, we put it at 8. Wait, we put it at 8 seconds. So it's going to take a super long time. So then I can hit 6. And as you see, it's kind of, you see how it kind of went slow, then fast, then back slow. And then we can do 7, and it's kind of doing like a, now it's going to go down fast. And then we could do 8, which 8 actually, that going up from his feet to his face. Oh my gosh. So let's go out while it's starting, and you guys can kind of see what it looks like. So my noisy neighbor, 5. 8 is probably too long, but you guys get the picture. And then we go to 6, and we're showing his control panel. And then we go to 7, and we're showing his feet. And then we're going to 8 and showing his killer bod and then his gorgeous face. Basically, that's basically how that looks. So let's go back and change the settings one more time. So we're back in the settings again, and now we're going to try to change the time. Let's do it like 2 seconds so I can show you guys how slow it could absolutely be. So we're going to do 2 seconds, and I'm actually going to do easy in this time. So I'm going to change both of these to easy in, and then we can kind of see what that looks like. Again, save it. Let's get back in game and go try it out. So we're going to go 5 again. We're out here. You saw it was a lot quicker that time, right? Let me go on and hit 0 or 1 so I can get it started. And then we're going to go on and hit 6. That was like really quick, right? And then 7, it's like slow, then it's fast. Even though that one didn't seem like it was super fast. And then this one, that still seems kind of slow. And then we didn't have a 9. So let me go back out, because when I do, it's supposed to be 2 seconds. So let me see. 1 1001, 1 1002. Yeah, that's about it. So I don't know why it seems like for 7, that's way more than 2 seconds. I don't know why, but you guys can kind of get the picture. You can play around with your settings and kind of like see which works and what works, what doesn't work, and what works for you. I pretty much keep it on linear, and I think I keep it on 4 seconds, because really when you're editing, you could speed or slow things up depending upon, you know, what feeling you want to go. Sometimes you might want to do the slow motion thing, and then you don't need it to be like super long on your settings. So something to think about. Again, the defaults are always linear and 2 seconds. I'm just gonna put everything back to linear in 2 seconds. I will say one thing. I'm showing you guys this method right here, but I don't use this method a lot, so I'm not very familiar with it. I know certain things about it just based on my research and other videos that I've watched doing it, but I spelled linear wrong. That's not good. All right, so let's save that. But yeah, so if you wanted to play around with it, I highly recommend you just kind of play around with it, see what fits, what your mood you're trying to give, see what it fits, the type of story you're trying to play. Like with the linear and me doing the gentleman, like how I did, especially for like the storyline I just gave this, to me it was perfect. You zoom in, it's like boom, he's so noisy, all he does is play on his DJ equipment, and you know, he's tapping his foot, so he's like above my head all the doggone time, but oh my gosh, he's so cute. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can kind of play around with the story you're trying to tell and figure out which method is the best for whatever you're trying to portray. Does that make any sense? I'm telling y'all, with Machinimas, it's based on your perspective. It's based on your what you want to present, what your outlook is. There is no wrong or right way. Just get in and get started. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool way to play Sims 4 in a creative way and like actually tell stories, because sometimes you can't get the stories to work with just gameplay. You got to manipulate them, and this is probably like the easiest and best way to do it. So other than that, that is pretty much it. That is pretty much the end of part 1, just camera controls. If you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions for upcoming parts, please let me know down in the comment box, and I will make sure to address them in another video. I think part 2 will probably be doing the video recording which is going to be something else. We'll have to go into the game files and manipulate stuff on there too, but I will show you guys that on part 2. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me down in the comment box. I have absolutely no problem helping you guys out and even filming more if I need to. Okay, we could do a camera controls part 2 if I messed up this camera controls part 1. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know, check down the comment box down below, and I will see you guys for part 2 coming very soon. Bye. There's this guy who just moved in my building. I saw him from behind as he brought in his DJ equipment. A DJ? There goes my restful nights. I could hear the thuds through the wall and the tapping of his feet. I hope he realizes he's not the only one living here. I want to tell him to keep it down, but there's only one problem. He's super cute.